Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another book study installment of Star Wars Scoundrels, chapters 9 through 12. With me, as always, is my trusty TA, Al Baca. Say hi, Al Baca. Excuse me. I mowed the lawn today, and allergies and little drain. Not so much drained, like feeling bad, but just very mellow. You know, when you've been out in the sun for a long time, you're just kind of like,
Yeah, it's kind of
okay, yeah, and not feeling bad. Very happy to be talking about Star Wars Scoundrels tonight. But
like you spent a day at a fair or something, you know.
something like that, I guess. I don't know. Plus, I don't mix well with the sunlight. Anyway,
Well, we all know that.
hey, I was early enough to catch Fan Man's Second Cup Cafe this morning.
Yes, we were all surprised.
Everybody was shocked in the chat. He's like, "Whoa, you're up at this hour!" I'm like,
"Yeah, I thought you were gonna burst into flames."
I not a member of KISS or anything. Let's see if you get that reference. No. Come on, that's an easy reference. That's not like a long way to go. Somebody in the chat will get that reference. It's not like I'm a member of KISS or anything, so of course I can be up early. No. Okay. All right. Well, that's the silence that I'm used to when I crack a joke on my own channel. Let's move right along.
I just don't get it.
Because I want to rock and roll all night.
Jesus. You really make people drive for the joke, you know? You gotta go around a corner, through a tunnel, up a hill.
Actually, Slaughter would have been the better, because rock and roll all night and party every day. Sleeping is partying, though, for me. But Slaughter did the up all night, sleep all day. That'd probably been better. I'll grant that concession. I should have chosen a better band. No, because Queen didn't sing it.
Well, I'm just saying, you know. Just okay, do the book study.
Stop thinking you're funny, Prof. Let's get to your let's play to your strengths, shall we? Let's analyze some literature.
Dale Heron. The joke wasn't funny.
Oh yeah, I'd expect that from Daniel Heron. He's always here to make sure.
Casey Scott, bad joke. At least make a vampire joke.
Wow, Casey Scott, didn't expect that from you. Daniel Heron's job in life is to make sure at no point am I ever feeling too good about myself. But Casey Scott, A2 Casey Scott. Welcome to the chat. Yes.
Oh, I was just going to do I'm doing Willow tonight, baby.
Nice. I didn't catch that.
Remember the Willow theme.
Very nice. Oh, she said Troy has a migraine, is lying down, so he won't be joining us. Oh, I'm sorry. Tell Troy we're sorry to hear that. Hope he feels better soon. Not a problem.
Nice cold can of Tab on his head. Maybe that'll help.
Migraines are rough. I don't know if I've ever really had a migraine, but headaches are bad enough. So.
Well, I think if to have a migraine, don't you have to have a history of migraine? You just don't have a migraine if you've never really had a migraine.
You have to have had a migraine at one point. It has to be your first one. I mean,
yeah, I know.
At least once you have to have one without.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know it's just not a bad headache as opposed to having it all the time and it becomes you have an issue with migraines? I don't know. I don't have them. I'm just wondering what the protocol is for calling a migraine as opposed to a bad headache.
Nanette, tell Troy that I am not second guessing his pain. I am just
no.
I'm
not second guessing it. I'm not second guessing it. I'm actually seeking information on the condition because it's one of those things I've always wondered and just have never really just kind of triggered me thinking about it.
Daniel Heron for $2 paid me $2 to tell me that I'm not funny like Fan Man. Maybe I can take that $2 and get a soundboard.
Well, dude, I mean, honestly,
play to your strengths, Prof.
You're the better straight man. I'm sorry.
I do fall into that role quite a bit. But let me welcome the chat before Al keeps going all out of order. Paladin Demo was here first, protesting the fact that we're doing Scoundrels by telling us all about Jurassic Park, which he is reading. But I'm glad you're enjoying Jurassic Park, sir. Matchstick with his characteristic yo. And Melissa Harris. Let's see who else popped in. Back to the drawing board. Welcome, sir. KC Scott, as we said. Netters Network was the 4th thumbs up. Matchstick. Sound Engraver was the 5th thumbs up. Welcome, Sound Engraver. And Stephen Cruz. Welcome, Stephen.
I was the 2nd thumbs up, just so you know.
Some guy named Daniel. I won't pay attention now. Sectorian Clegane. Welcome. Says Kiss is still 4 guys, Al. It's true. Very true.
Yeah, I know. Kiss is fine. It just didn't get the joke.
Sound Engraver for $2. You're funny to me, Prof. Take that, Daniel. Boom. Mic drop. Now. I probably shouldn't use those isms too that the kids are using today. That doesn't go off well for me. Mic drop.
First of all, they're not using that anymore.
Oh, really?
A couple years old.
You mean they've advanced past the 90s?
I think so. Talk to the hand.
Oh man, I guess right. Professor Solo and Wookie Al Baca, Melissa Harris says. I agree. We got her nice. And this is thanks to Al. Al did that killer Chewbacca. It worked. I don't know how. He just picked out the right elements from his Bitmoji. So that you look at that and you know that's Al's face, even though all it is like eyes, nose, and beard. But it works. And then he was able to throw me on a Han Solo. So very cool.
Give myself the little Wookiee nose and kept the beard. And
there you go.
And the eyebrows. That's my eyes, eyebrows, nose, and beard and mouth. Everything else is pure Chewy.
So before we start, Al, did you want to give anybody updates on your mom? Everybody's been praying for and stuff, or is it not really too much? To say yet?
Seems to be doing better. Hopefully, if all goes well, she'll be released in a couple weeks. Still sore. Still weak, but she's getting stuff done. And from experience, I know when you go through therapy, it tires you out, and that's basically what she's kind of going through right now. But it does help to go through all that. So, but she's still got a little ways to go. But hopefully, a couple weeks from now, I'll be able to give my mom a hug.
I know, no man. Well, I'll be there tomorrow. You can give me a hug.
You promise?
We'll talk.
Okay.
I am going to be driving over to Big Al's tomorrow, and I'm probably going to document my 2.5 hour, which isn't long at all, little drive on our Facebook group. I might do like little Facebook Live videos occasionally for pit stops or whatever. And so make sure you remember that Facebook group or you're popping in. Be fun. We're going to have a pizza party tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump right into the text. We are on chapters 9 through 12 tonight. Chapter 8 ended up with almost things almost fell apart, and we were talking about how we saw that Han Solo was really emerging as a great leader. We're going to see that much more in tonight's chapters, but how he saw things almost falling apart. After they had Dozer had the encounter with the Faline Quazati, they found out the Falines were involved, then they found out Black Sun and so forth. So Dozer had kind of gone off almost, he's not really happy about everything, but he didn't want to leave the money on the table. And then Han had a secret job for him, or at least a job that it's a secret because he didn't want to tell any of the other team. And we don't even know what it is yet at this point in the book. So
I'm thinking that it's to bolster Dozer's confidence, because he got his confidence shaking because he almost gave up the ghost to the pheromones of the Faline,
which of course isn't even remotely a statement on his weakness. It's actually a statement on his strength that he didn't, in spite of the Faline's pheromones.
True, but like I said, he knows how close he came, so it kind of shook him. He's like, I don't know if I can do that again. But like I said, he used the right way to get around it by he told the truth.
Yeah.
And that's that's the way that's what you got to do. And I had to do that once in a D&D game. But anyway,
real life problems, the D&D
Yeah.
games.
Where are your comrades? They went west. Right behind the trees over there. West. Yeah.
So chapter 9 starts out with some really great pacing. Again, remember that they've had a pretty heavy ordeal there, and they had a nice little mini heist. Now, chapter 9 starts out by slowing it down a little bit. They're taking a few days to prepare, and they have to build this equipment. Tavia, Winter, and Chewie are working on this equipment, and Dozer's doing the secret stuff that Han told him to do. Everybody's kind of prepping. Even Zerba's making those pull-away garments, that they're going to need and whatnot. And in this little sort of slow down of the pace, when you do slow the pace down a bit, that's when you can work on character relationships. We got a lot of characters in this, so we can't really develop each and every one. But little things like there's a great relationship between Han and Lando that's a heavy continuous thread through this story. Obviously, we know where it ends up because we know it's gonna whatever happens at the end of this book is their last encounter before Empire Strikes Back. So
a lot of guts coming here after what you pulled.
I knew you were going to say that. I like the fact that while everybody else is working, Han and Lando are in the food room or the kitchen or whatever, going over all this information. And I like that it says it was a little Han said it was a little irritating to see him so calm talking about Lando. But Han had to admit that maybe Lando had the better take on things. Jabba and the other Hutts weren't all that different from Village Horn and Black Sun, except that their influence was more or less open. So you've got the idea that he's learning from the other strengths, and even Lando, who's somebody that he didn't want there, he knew how Lando felt about him, but he's able to recognize that. Again, this is not Han, the general of the Republic yet, or the rebellion. This is Han who's really, he's just had his big redeeming moment at the end of episode 4, coming back and saving Luke of the Death Star. So that's a big deal for him. And this is his first adventure out, and then of course he'll continue his redemption arc later. So
yeah, he's still the rogue. He's still Han Solo, Captain of the Millennium Falcon, smuggler.
The scoundrel.
He's still the scoundrel. He's although he had a flash of what he could be, but he's still himself at this point. He's still the original Han at this point.
Yeah. And we got Dozer being mysterious here. A little bit, kind of a weird, Dozer's got this secret job that Han gave him, so clearly they're okay with each other. Han trusts him enough to do it, but the secrecy of it puts a little bit of a divide, not a divide, but the rest of the team's starting to wonder, what's he doing out there so much? They don't know about it. So again, thinking about tensions and possible, they're so reliant on each other and their specialties, possible betrayals and whatnot. After that little preparation section. Yep.
No, I was just wondering what Rhodey and carryout would be like.
Rhodey and carryout. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Because Rhodey and carryout one evening, Zerba suddenly had an overpowering craving. I'm like,
Yeah, it would have been nice to have a little description or something. Then after this little preparation period, we get them at the Festival of Stone. Or the honoring of Stone. It's the Festival of 4 Honorings is the whole multi-day event here, and it's basically I think an event each day, and then there's a day in between to kind of prep for the next one. And it's the 4 elements basically, right? Stone, air, water, and fire. So if you remember my video on the Epic 4, I talk about how the iconic group of 4 and what's or how groups of 4 tend to fall archetypically into personalities and whatnot. And one of the things I said was you've got 4 humors in medieval times, but 4 elements too: earth, wind, water, fire. So at this first festival of honoring a stone, this is earth, right? This is earth. This is the foundation. Earth is a foundation, and this is when they're laying the foundation of their plan. They're not actually pulling off anything. All they're doing is they're doing some recon. They're figuring out, the whole scheme about Han pouring the dust down the droid's glove so that it locks on Kel's hand. That's to get Kel back into the droid repair room so he can figure out what kinds of droids there are. So it's recon. They're laying the foundations. At this point, this is when Bink meets Shikoa, and I love that scene too. well, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but let me go ahead and just say it now that I'm here, and then I'll jump back. But she meets him, and she says this was her. He was enamored with her as well. He should be, because this was her best dippy girl act, that's supposed to like cause men to, what? Yeah, it says not a drop of your shirt about spilling something on his drink. Some of the stiffness easing as well. It should. This was Bink's best dippy girl act, guaranteed to spark feelings of amusement, sympathy, or protectiveness in the majority of the male population. Really kind of funny how she plays him, because she goes away for a bit, but then that whole meticulous act about, my plate's about to fall over, and pretending to ask for help but not saying it, and then of course he's going to step in because he's watching her. He's the security guy, makes sense. So that was really interesting. But then in the end too, it's not cliche, because it's easy to write like a cliche scene where the girl kind of dupes the guy for being flirty or whatever. But at the end, taking a sip from her drink, Bink headed toward one of the seating areas. Yes, that had gone well. He was totally into her. He was also totally onto her. She smiled to herself. Perfect. So it's part of the plan, a little intrigue, it deepens a little bit. So not just going the cliche route, but actually going a little deeper and letting us enjoy some of the cliche stuff too. So,
but I love going back a little, I love the description of this festival.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds beautiful. It sounds beautiful. Like, I'd really love to see this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, and the concept where, I also like the concept is like when they realize that the humans have see one thing, but there are probably things going around for different races, like because who can see in different spectrums and smell certain other things. I just think that's kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, well, that's for the for the Festival of the Wind, but yeah, even the Festival of Stone here, they've got the tornadoes of stone, the volcanoes and stuff like that. Yeah, if you think about it, they really do stretch the term, and they've got stone, they got rock dust, and even volcano, because volcanic stone and whatnot. So they really do stretch the term. And yeah, reading it, this is the second time I've read it through. So I'd only read it once before, and going through a little bit more slowly, fine-tooth comb wise, for the study, I was able to better appreciate the festivals myself, all the things they had. So you're absolutely right. They've got multiple layers of it. And just the way that they were able to, the team's incredibly prepared. I mean, you really do see them doing their stuff. Even Han, I think it was cool when Han, again, I'm kind of all over the place in the chapter. I'm going to go back, get some other stuff here as well, talk about Dozer. But when Han is pulling this little trick on the droid, it's not something that let's see, where is it? I had it, but I'm going all out of order, of course. So it's
the droids that are all dressed up in weird clothing.
Yeah, weird clothing, exactly. Oh, you know what? That's not till chapter 10. So never mind. I'll get to that in a second. But chapter 9, let's just go back then. Let me go in order so I'll stop skipping all things around. Dozer. I want to talk about Dozer a little bit. Dozer is somebody who we'll see him out throughout these chapters. He's a little overly annoyed at Kel. Kel's the one who can kind of, he's not like, he doesn't hate Kel or anything, but when Kel says something, Dozer can kind of gruff. So Dozer doesn't like him calling it the Festival of Rock. He wants him to have some dignity, and stuff like that. And he tries to correct him and stuff like that. I think that's a really cool little psychological touch, because you tend to be really annoyed by the things in people that you don't like in yourself, or that you really, or maybe you're insecure about, or you try really hard to suppress in yourself or whatever. Those are the things you recognize more in others. And you think about Dozer in this situation, he's kind of a fish out of water. He was brought in to do the con man thing, but then Lando comes in. Now, not that he's like begrudging Lando for that or anything, but still where's his specific place? Even though Han gave him this job, we still see that a little bit. And then you look at Kel, the youngest there, who I know droids and stuff like that. He's not as readily effective as say Bink or Zerba or somebody like that. So that's the one that he kind of, leans on or tries to, or is annoyed by most. It makes sense to me, but I can't help but to like Dozer, even though he's got this, he can be a little jerkish occasionally or moody or whatever. I loved it when Villagers people recognize him as the person from the Quicklime Courier thing. And he gets it, or he picks it up. He realizes he's being followed. So he knows that. And then he realizes he kind of plays him a little bit. And he knows that, okay, well, they're just watching him now. So then he goes up to those two people. And he's like, hey, you're Cadger's friend, right? And they're like, Cadger? He's like, oh, well, we call him Cadger because he's always borrowing stuff, never remembers to return it. You practically have to call out the Tween River Garrison to get it back. Oh, the men's face is cleared. Oh, he said knowingly, you mean Esmond? Yeah, Esmond Dozer conferred. We always call him Cadger. Listen, this is my, so that's just like a neat little con thing right there, because everybody has that friend who doesn't return stuff or something like that. He's playing on some generalities to make that con work, and then because he's talking to some people, he puts the villagers people at ease a little bit. So that was neat. I like that some of Dozer's thinking to himself too. I've got some of it underlined here, but it's in different pages, and I think I just skipped past it. A certain level of con work was necessary in any branch of thievery. Of course, and ship boosting was no exception. If necessary, he could have done a fair job with this one too, but it would have been a fair job, not a spectacular one. Going up against a man like Villagor, Dozer knew would require something better than just fair. Though he would never admit it, especially not to Solo, he'd secretly been relieved when Calrissian unexpectedly showed up at the suite door. So that's got to be a little bit jolt to his confidence too. But it said, but Dozer had his own set of skills none of the rest of them could match on their best day. And I love this last paragraph. Turning south, he headed towards the pavilions beyond, which not so coincidentally was another of the mansion's doors. By the time the team reassembled at the suite, he promised himself he would have a complete handle on Villagor's festival security setup, their encirclement system, and their alert ripple pass. Let Calrissian and his fancy smile top that. His little insecurity is kind of endearing a bit, but then we did get a little bit of Villagor before that. Did you want to say anything about that? Villagor's insecurities and worries and paranoia again.
Oh my God. Talk about a classic overthinker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of has to be.
I say it because it's funny the way that Zahn's writing it, because it's a marvelous way of getting in his head.
Yeah.
But you're right. A man in that situation, he knows people are going to be after him. He's got people he can trust. He's got people he can't trust, and sometimes he's not going to be able to tell the difference. So he's got to be completely on guard, expecting something to go crazy at any moment, or maybe not. And so he's always like in a heightened state of paranoia. But I love the way Zahn's been writing it.
Yeah, and he works for a company, for a establishment like Black Sun, who is, they're not above testing him. They're going to test him. They're going to test his loyalty. And then at the same time, this perfect storm of Deja's machinations with the glitter stem thing, and then the heist, or Han's team messing around with him there. So it's, it's something. So, so we talked about Bink already. The crowds were already substantial. Let's see. We move into Lando. Yeah, so Lando makes contact with Villagor. This is the end of chapter 9, and drops that word, the cryodex, on him. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And then that gets him an audience at least. And now we've got a nice little cliffhanger of an ending of a chapter. Remember, chapters should be their own little arcs. And Villagor had stopped a few steps inside the door and was waiting for them beside two more guards. And now he said, even the false warmth gone from his voice, let's go someplace quiet and have a little talk, so into the lion's den, so to speak, Chapter 10. Now we're with Han, looking at the different swirling stone and dust and stuff like that. And he's got this fake holocam that Chewbacca had made him, which is for catching the stone, catching the dust. And he was able to find one. He's able to catch it. And I love, so the plan here is, again, this is the Festival of Stone. It's the foundational, Earth. And this is the foundation of their plan, doing recon and whatnot. So the plan is to pour some of the dust down the droid's glove at the right time when the droid grabs Kel's hand. So that's going to, lock in and make him have to go to the droid repair room. And I like Han's interiority here. He's doing a good job acting. He's doing his own little con work. Of course, it's just with a droid, so it's not anywhere near the stakes, that it is for what Lando's doing, of course. But he says, I've got a holo for it. Let me show you. And he pulls out his holocam. And then in italics there, I can do this, he told himself firmly. The timing was going to be close, but he and Chewbacca ran close timing every time they flew the Falcon. This would be like a normal smuggling day. Here it is, he continued, thrusting the hollow camera in front of the droid's mask. Beside him, Kel stepped up to the table, and as the kid reached past the plate, the droid was aiming for Han, tapped the hollow camera's release, and dumped the sand he collected straight down the droid's glove. So I just like that little moment. I can do this. I can do this. This is we see him stretching himself as a leader, but also stretching himself doing other things besides smuggling, but realizing that a lot of the skills he has as a smuggler are applicable to these other jobs. I think in a way, even though this is still a heist and it's not like super altruistic, it's kind of training him for the work he's going to do later on with the Republic, So Kel figures out that. You stop me if you want to cover anything I'm skipping. So then we have this conversation with Lando and Villagor, and Lando's ability here to pull off these bluffs is really something. Lando is nervous at first because this is a big deal. This is Villagor. He could be thrown out, and he's talking about the cryodex. He's talking about his own boss. They've got some. They could possibly make him an offer and whatnot. Yes, Villager said thoughtfully. Let me tell you what I think. I think you've never seen a cryodex, let alone possessed one. I think you have no organization behind you, certainly no one with any power. I think you're here purely as a test to see if my loyalty to Black Sun can be swayed by such a ridiculous and simple-minded story, test within tests. And I think that just to be on the safe side, I'm going to have you killed. He leaned back in his chair. Let's try it again. Who are you and who do you work for? In this moment right here. There's no need for threats, Lando protested mildly, some of the tension draining from him. The threat was real, but oddly enough, that was actually a good sign. If Villagor hadn't been interested or at least intrigued by the offer, he would simply have had Shakoa throw him out. My name is unimportant, then he goes off into it. But that ability to read people, that's really cool. And that's Lando the gambler. That's what he's has to be. We're gonna see that even more so in the next chapter. But he's able to pique Villagor's interest. They're able to set up a meeting the next day. And let's see, we're going. Kel gets his information there. And
remember, he tells him his name is Quirv.
Yes, Quirv.
Which has some significance.
Yeah, so it says here that, so why had Villagor's visitor chosen that name? Was he saying, or no, so Villagor wasn't most people. He was a Black Sun sector chief, and people in his dark line of work kept close. So Quirv is a common name, but Villagor said he would recognize it. Bildo Quirv had been one of Jabba the Hutt's top people until Jabba decided to make him the first official victim of his new Rancor pet, a creature, if the stories were true, that Quirv himself had found and helped present to the corpulent gangsters. The corpulent gangster, I love that, that description. And again, paranoia. So why had Villagor's visitor chosen that name? Was he saying he was working for the Hutts? That he wasn't working for the Hutts? That the ultimate goal of his operation was to bring down the Hutts? If so, was part of the goal to set Villager up in the organizational vacuum that Jabba's death would leave? It's like, man, take a break, buddy. He's killing himself.
He is on some kind of caffeine high, man, because his brain is rolling.
Yep. Let me just finish out this chapter here. But then ultimately he figures there's not any way he can lose here with Quirv's offer. And then and Lando's offer was designed to make him think this, because even if he pretends, he was just checking it out to show Black Sun later, he can kind of do that. He hasn't committed to anything. One way or another, he would end the festival in a better position than he began. Either he would have the power and freedom, or he would have a spare cryodex to offer to his master on Imperial Center. A cryodex and very likely a freshly severed head. Let Quasati dare to test him then. So a little bit of that, let Lando, Dozer thinking about Lando, got Villager thinking about Quasati. I also like the little Easter eggs there. 3POs can be annoying. Remembering 3PO. And this little exchange. Oh, sorry.
I guess a nice little inventory of droids there, but I do like the one where it says a high-end Cybot Galactica maintenance equipment. It's like it's very close to Cylon Galactica.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a nice little possible call out there.
I like this little encounter between Inger and Han at the end of the chapter 10 here. Inger's trying to pump him for information a little bit. He says, "You're incredibly confident. You know that, especially for a small-time smuggler who's never pulled off a heist like this in his life." "Who says I've never done this before?" Han countered. He hadn't, of course, but that was beside the point. Besides, it's not about me. It's about getting the right people for the job. Again, that thinking right there. Han knows he's got self-confidence, but it's not. He doesn't need to have the confidence in doing the whole thing. He needs to have the confidence and the ability to delegate. And who delegates? A good leader. So just seeing the smuggler really broaden into the leader, I think, is awesome. Again, I haven't read a lot of EU stuff from this era because I've been kind of going through more Old Republic stuff on my way there. But I love the slow progression of Han the smuggler and Han the scoundrel into what he will become, in the Thrawn trilogy and after, So it's nice to see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about charm either, Han said, gazing at the half-bandaged face as Lando's doubts about the man flashed into mind. Inger was seeking information and assurances. How much should he give him? None, he decided. It's about information, he continued. Dozer and Kel got us some after. So Inger himself is set up now as a little bit of a, is he going to betray? At least for the team, because we know that Inger's contact is Deja. And, we know who Deja is. And even though Deja is working for the Empire, as long as Han's team is useful to him, he's not really meaning Han's team any mischief, but the team doesn't know that. They just know Inger has this mysterious contact. So again, some suspicions back and forth among people and whatnot. Anything else about chapter 10 there?
Oh, no, you pretty much got it.
Let me just check in with the chat before I get too much farther into the last two chapters. See, back to the drawing board. It says, interesting you should say Dozer and Kel are similar. Kel has many of Dozer's concerns about his place in the world years later when he serves in the race squadron. Oh, cool. Yeah. So I haven't read up into that far, but that's good to know that continues. Miss Serena, send me the rest of your comments. Yeah. Did you get my email last night, Miss Serena? Hopefully you did. But yeah, as I said, I'll be sending you another one tonight. So glad those are coming through. Stephen Cruz. Oh, Daniel Heron talking about in the death flu zone or something like that. Yeah, stay safe, Daniel. Need you to keep me humble, buddy, and also send me Dr. Pepper beans. Oh yeah, the 3POs. Now, Melissa Harris, this isn't actually C3PO, our C3PO. These are just 3PO models that were in stock. I think I don't even know if they're out there in the field. I think Kel just saw them in the back room. In
the protocol droids there,
yeah, different ones of that.
Because I mean, I still remember. I remember like the silver one that was on in the very first movie. That there was another one that was following.
That's true.
Yeah, it's like one of the main droids you see at first. That wasn't a main character.
I do like the look of the protocol droids in the Old Republic, the online game that I've been playing. Mm-hmm. They've got this like weird looking neck kind of scaffolding or whatever. They look pretty cool. But anyway, that's an older version. So chapter 11, we finish up. We're done with the honoring of moving stone. Now we're in the honoring of moving air. So we've gone from stone, earth, foundation. They've laid the foundation of their plan. Now it's the foundation of air. And I'm gonna talk about the chapter, and then at the end of the chapter I'll say what I think how that's significant, how the festival of air, because Zahn is carefully coordinating these festivals, the right one, the right element with the right actions going on. You can read a little bit more or less into it, to a certain degree, but I think it's, you have to realize that this is done purposefully. So, we'll see if the chat or anybody wants to venture a guess as we go through as to why this stuff happens during the Festival of Moving Air. But this is what Al was talking about. You're right. You've got, Han was thinking air. Well, how is that going to be as impressive as the stone? But it turns out they really cover all the senses. So you've got the air, the feel of the air on your body, the smell of the air, the aromas they pump through. They color the air so you can see the movements of it. So still a big deal. And probably key to different.
And my favorite, the handful of Wookiees towering over everyone else in particular seem to revel in the air jets that ruffled through their fur.
I'm just picturing like those
Oh,
commercial those commercials for like women's shampoo, and there's always like one model with the luscious hair and like slow-mo with the hair blow dryer or whatever. I'm just
yeah.
picturing like a grown Wookiee, like or whatever.
Got Meryl Monroe standing over the air grate.
Oh man. Okay. Yes, Paladin demo. The festivals are a distraction. You're right. That's one of the big basic things. Absolutely. Why they're doing the whole heist during the distractions, during the festivals. Absolutely. But we'll see if we want to go deeper as well. So we've got the festival air going on. Lando now is our action opens with Lando going to meet Villagor as was arranged. He's and he comes with Zerba. Zerba is coming with the strap, the case of their cryodeck strapped to his hand, and he has to kind of fight for Zerba to go in. They say no one else is coming in. And he's like, nope, he carries it. Lando said firmly, I'll explain why once we're inside. And the whole idea is that there's a bomb in it, and technically it's only supposed to explode the cryodecks, but just in case, Lando, posing as a higher up, gangster or whatever, would have somebody else take on that danger rather than him. And Villagor doesn't like that at first. This is my house, Villagor retorted. I make the rules and give the orders, not you. Of course, Lando said, noting that despite his bluster, Villagor and his escort chose to stop a cautious 5 meters away. My point is simply that I want to make sure my case doesn't leave here without me, at least not in one piece. So just that schmoozing again, Lando learning how to reading them quite well and schmoozing the whole theme. There's other part here where some tense moments throughout. Again, we know that. Oh, go ahead.
So you were talking about the charge. So it's only a small charge, just enough to detonate to destroy the case and its contents, nothing more. At least that's the theory. That's why
the theory.
Someone else carrying it.
Exactly.
I ain't no dummy.
So we know Winter is good with her memory and stuff, and she created this cryodex. But I like the tense moments here, nonetheless, as you go through. Like, is this going to go wrong, or what? Because you're expecting a good heist. They've got the best laid plans, but nobody wants to read a story where a team makes all these careful plans and then all the plans go off without a hitch. There's going to be complications somewhere. That's part of the adventure, part of the complications in the plot, So as they pull out the cryodex, Lando held his breath, forcing his expression to stay calm. He'd never seen a cryodex before. Even Rochelle hadn't been able to find any hollows of them. He only had Winter's assurances that her version was even close, let alone a perfect copy. To his relief, apparently it was. Very nice, Villagor said. But then Villagor says, I know the sound it makes when it does this versus doing that. So now he's wondering, okay, she didn't say anything about the sound. Did she copy the sound right? So then there's this little interesting, and you think about when you put stuff in a book like this, why are you putting this in a book? So Lando's trying to get inside the vault to get the cards, the cards with the blackmail data on there. And Villagor says no. He tries again. Villagor says no. You can wait out here alive, or you can wait out here not alive. Villagor said, your choice. Point taken, Lando said, feeling a twinge of annoyance. Dozer and Bink had insisted that a really good con artist should have no trouble talking his way into Villagor's vault, especially with the cryodex as bait. Bink had gone so far as to offer to bet Lando 50 credits that he could do it, with Zerba acting as judge and how he tried. Lando turned down the bet. Now he wished he'd taken it. But just, why would you put that little extra thing in there unless it's to draw attention to Lando's job here, bluffing, his con man skills here. This whole scene is about Lando, the con artist, how competent he is at bluffing, at doing his gambling thing. We're going to get into that specific word here.
How he can keep the sabacc face.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And, keep your voice calm. There's a lot that's going into his performance here,
mm-hmm.
And there's a lot at stake.
Mm-hmm. Big time. And I love it. So they bring out the card, and then Lando gives the information. So there's supposed to be like just a random piece of information. Villagor apparently doesn't know what's on all the cards anyway. He just holds them. So they've obtained a certain amount of information from Inger's friends and stuff like that, and they've got this information to give. And Lando does it, gives his best bluff, and then Villagor said, "Interesting." Villagor said, "There's only one problem." Stealing himself, Lando turned around, which is There's no possible reason that particular file should be on that particular data card, Villager said calmly. That one is Osk through Usk, and neither Nar, Iron Strike, Jabba, Hutt, Bespin, or Cloud City begins with that letter. And suddenly the blasters were no longer pointed at the floor. And now, Villager continued quietly, you'll tell me what's really going on. And then a break, so that's a good cliffhanger. It'd be fine if you wanted to end a chapter on that, but we got more to this festival day, so we're not ending the chapter, but a good break. And then we jump over to some other characters. So good tension, right? Really great tension. Matchstick says he likes the little mini heist. I agree that there's good pacing, and even within the heist, they're really great at this. So yeah, just wonderful pacing for this kind of story. Now we're over to Deja. Deja is keeping an eye on the crew from a distance, of course, but now Deja is caught by Villager's people. And he has a fraction of a second that he hears them behind him, and he's a little too close to the mansion. So he has a fraction of a second to decide on what character he's going to go for. And he goes for the kind of clueless tourist. He's like, oh, I'm waiting for my lady friend to use the fresher. The man glanced around. What fresher? There, Deja said, pointing to the mansion door. The fresher's in there, right? So we see Deja now bluffing. Deja bluffing his way out of trouble and doing a little continue. We know Deja could take those two out in a heartbeat, but he's all part of the plan, what's best for his ends. But he bluffs very easily, playing the silly, clueless, I guess jilted lover. It's almost like the girl told him the wrong place or something. But but it works. He's able to get out of there. Then we have a really cool. So think about the pacing of this chapter. We have an incredibly tense moment with Lando, ending on that. The villager, the plan almost falls through. But during that scene, Lando was amazing at bluffing, at doing his con work, at reading Villager. End on that tense cliffhanger. Now Deja mirroring the same thing, doing the bluffing, doing the con work. So that's important. Maybe that's an important theme of the chapter, Then we jump to Tavia and Winter keeping an eye on things. I think Rochelle's there as well. And you get a little bit of Tavia and Bink's backstory from Tavia's mind. Tavia worried about her sister constantly. Of course, they're very close. But also the idea that Tavia doesn't really like that line of work. Tavia could make a good living elsewhere, but it seems that Bink, in Tavia's mind anyway, Bink continues to sabotage any job opportunities she has elsewhere, and keeps her in the game with her. So interesting backstory. We see some things come to fruition. We'll continue to watch that progress and find out more about it. But again, a nice lull in pacing. You heavy action, heavy tension, echo the theme. You can get a nice character moment, then you're back into the tension. And back into the tension is right at that moment. We pick up right at that moment that Lando is, their blasters are no longer pointed at the floor. And I love this. This is brilliant. This is hats off to Lando. So there were times, Lando reflected, when you were outnumbered, outgunned, with all exits blocked, and holding a losing hand. In situations like that, there was only one option: bluff. Interesting, he said calmly. Are you sure? Are you calling me a liar? Villager demanded. Am I? Lando countered. Have this back and forth. And he finally says, Master Villager is angling for a second free sample, Lando said bluntly. So how do you meet suspicion and distrust? By throwing up your own. That kind of throws them off the track. Really good psychology there. First of all, there's no reason for Prince Shizor to organize his blackmail files according to such an obvious system. In fact, I can think of dozens of reasons for him not to do so, and so forth. And then this is great. In second, I happen to know that one of the following slang terms for Hutt is Slaviki, which starts with the letter Synth, which does fall in the Usk to Usk range. Villager's eyes flicked to Zerba, back to Lando. There was still suspicion in his eyes, but there was also a growing uncertainty. Slaviki, he repeated. You're certain of that? Quite certain, Lando said frostily. I was there when a Falling called a Hutt that to his face. It took the owner of the place 3 days to clear out the wreckage. I mean, just lying on the go, being able to bluff his way out. You got to admire his ability here as the con man. Go ahead and look it up if you want. I'll wait. So that confidence, right? And of course, later, so what is that? Zerba asked him later, and I'll go back to him. I'm not jumping ahead and staying here, but I just want to. Zerba asked him later. So is Slaviki really an insulting term for Hutt? Not that I know of, Lando said, but that's the great thing about slang. There are so many versions and varieties in anyone's language that you can never be sure you've gotten all of it. Villager can search the archives for the rest of the month without ever being able to prove I was bluffing. Really solid, solid technique there, and able to think on your feet like that. That's crazy. But then, of course, we get back to that to the name joke, and now we kind of get the reason behind it. So at one point, Lando asks Zerba to give him the card back, and he calls him Bib. And Zerba, you call him Bib, Zerba asked. Lando shrugged. A small joke, recognizable only to those who are already familiar with Jabba's history. Yes, Villagor said. Quirv and Bib together again. Indeed, Lando said. Bib Fortuna and Bildo Quirv had been two of Jabba's highest-ranking servants, always jockeying for power and position, until Quirv's death and Fortuna's subsequent promotion to Major Domo. Han had suggested that bringing Hutt history into their aliases would add an extra layer to Lando's story that Villagor might find intriguing. And it makes sense, right? Because if he's supposed to be coming from this mysterious other entity or other institute or organization, not Black Sun, think or dropping hints that it might be Hutt linked, is a good way to add some validity to it. And I like the fact that came from Han. Again, we're seeing Lando really shine in this chapter with his ability to pull off his skills, but Han is at the back of it, as the leader directing, and that's we still got that there.
I like to call out to Bib Fortuna too. Someone we meet later.
Exactly. So everything goes well. Of course, Villager wants to meet the higher up or whatever. At least they get out of there. They get out of there in one piece. Villager thinks, that things could have, they're probably on the up and up about the cryo decks. But then complications. As soon as they're out, these two thugs hijack them basically and take them away by gunpoint. Rochelle is watching. They can't do anything about it. They can't get there in time. Chewie can't even get to the airspeeder in the air in time. They miss out on them. And so this is a big deal. There they go. Winter cut in. Looks like an Incom PT-81 airspeeder, dark red with yellow pinstripes around the front canopy. Heading east, Winter said. They're lifting. They're in the lower air lane. Lifting again. Chewie, Han demanded. Even someone like Inger, who didn't understand Sharuk, I guess that's the name, would have had no trouble recognizing the anger and frustration in Chewie's roar. He was in the air. He was in the air, but the kidnappers were already gone. Too late, Rochelle said, sounding close to tears. We've lost them. Again, what a great cliffhanger to leave the chapter on. People don't, realize chapters. You're writing a novel; those chapters have to be little mini books. Not solving or bringing consolation to the whole plot, but they have to have their own little mini arc. And these are well done. So now we're in chapter 12, our final chapter for tonight. And we got that little cliffhanger. What I love about the first part of this chapter, we get Kel kind of, being oblivious and Dozer snapping at him a bit again. We get some of that more. But the idea that Dozer is going to get up and leave at one point because they say, well, shouldn't we be out there? And Han's like, there's nothing we could do out there. Han knows. Han's trying to figure out something to do. And I love this little call out here. Talk about Easter eggs. If they get loose, Dozer retorted, don't be ridiculous. Who do you think you are, Revan and Malik? I'm telling you, they're Hammer Squad, Revan and Malik. Yes! So, you Knights of the Old Republic video gamers and those who know Revan, Malik was Revan's apprentice. And, of course, once they were twisted by the Emperor of the Sith into the dark side, Malik embraced it wholeheartedly and became a horrid Dark Lord. Revan was doing it because he was twisted and eventually was redeemed and fought Malik. But just a really great, great little callback to people who like the older eras there. But this intense moment. So go, Han said, waving at the door. But you walk through that door and you're out. Oh, really? Dozer snarled. He bounded to his feet and grabbed for his blaster and froze. The weapon halfway out of its holster, his eyes wide as he found himself staring down the barrel of Han's fully drawn blaster. Really, Han assured him quietly. Again, good leadership. Not that you need to be pulling a gun on your subordinates, but in general, but in the Scoundrels team, it kind of makes sense there. But Han likes Dozer.
Yeah.
Feels out of it, but Han's trusted Dozer enough to give him a special mission. And yet when he needs to be smacked down and reminded who's in charge, Han's not above doing it. And, but he knows too, Dozer says, so what's our next move? That was, Han knew, a damn good question. In a single heartbeat, this whole grand scheme had gone sideways, and suddenly he was flying blind. And I like his idea here. He would see Villager. So we changed course, he said, putting away his own blaster. Rochelle, forget the airspeeder. Lando and Zerba were talking to Villagor. Start making a list of people who might not like that. Great strategy there. Great way to change. This isn't working. Let's change things up. Now we jump to Lando and Zerba, and they're being kidnapped away here. Hang on, getting a cramp in my leg the way I'm sitting there. A little bit of danger, tension there. Zerba is I don't know if this is the part where Zerba's able to get his cuffs off, but Han doesn't have that skill, so they're still pretty much up a creek there. But eventually we have this little Deja himself. We jump to Deja. Is it Deja here yet? Yeah. So Deja has been watching the whole thing, and Deja is talking to Deshul. And I like this. The point is that if Inger and his team slide off the edge, this whole operation is likely to slide down with them. I may not be able to restart my own game in time to get to the Marblewood before the festival ends. Now, Deshul, of course, is the higher up there, says, I can't allow you to bring the government into this, because then the Black Sun will be tipped off that the Empire's got some hand in this. But he says, if he and Deshul were the only two intelligent agents in Iltar City, that didn't mean they were all alone. Not exactly. So then he calls Inger. So we've got Inger showing up with this mysterious, contact, giving them information about where Han and Lando are. That helps out. Of course, it causes more distrust. But they've got to figure out a plan. And where is the part that I, we got Dozer giving Kel a hard time again. But Dozer, he needs Dozer to boost some ships or whatever. Rochelle wants to go, but he says, no, you need to stay here. You're too recognizable. Tavia has to stay here because they can't know that Bink has a twin if their plan's going to work. And it says something to the effect of, just like that, the plan came together. But Han is orchestrating it still. And at the end of that, he says, you've all got your jobs, Han told the others, get busy. So they've got a plan now. We don't know the full plan. We know it involves some explosives. Han says that they're going to be for a distraction, for sound here, in a second. But there's a good juxtaposition between Han and the team putting their plan into action and Lando and Zerba freaking out, or at least from Lando's perspective. And poor Lando, well, first we as Han and Chewie are Han and the team are preparing. Hans has a moment with Winter. And I like that they have this experience, because this is ultimately Winter, the woman that Han's going to trust to be the nursemaid of his own children, So, Han felt it. So Winter said that Kel is probably an Alderaanian. Han felt his lip twist. Leia had been had put up a good front, both during the Death Star escape and afterward. But through it all, even when she'd been cheering him and Luke for their victory at Yavin, he had seen the deep and lasting pain behind her eyes. He recognized that same pain in Winter. Now he thought about it, recognizing Kel. Says Han had tasted that same pain to the extent Leia and Winter and Kel had, and he knew all too well that it did things to people. Sometimes it made them depressed, uncaring, and lethargic. Sometimes it made them permanently angry and unable to care about anyone or anything for a long time. Han can read people or empathize with people in a different way than Lando can, but Han's doing it here as a leader, not as somebody who's trying to bluff you out of something, I like that difference. So you got to keep an eye on Kel and make sure he doesn't do anything, out of the ordinary or unexpected or whatever. Winter vouches for him though. So they have this plan, but then poor Lando's wondering, okay, rescue can happen anytime now. And he's like, maybe they didn't know where they were. Ridiculous. Winter and Tavia surely witnessed the kidnapping from the suite. Rochelle must have surely seen able to track the airspeeder. Unless there would be no rescue because Han had decided not to bother. Lando took a careful breath. No, that was crazy. Han wouldn't do anything like that. Yes, Lando had told him off for good last time they parted company, blah, 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 blah. But Han certainly had seemed to accept Lando's apology. Besides, even if Han wasn't ready to forgive him, surely Chewie wouldn't turn his back on two teammates in trouble. Lando's sweating, and it's good tension, because you got this man who was so calm, cool, and collected right there at Villa George, just bluffing his way out of every little trap. And now he's kind of flipping out, and it's good tension, especially when he realizes, okay, I'm no structural engineer, but once we get inside that building, there's no saving us. Any kind of distraction or whatever is going to bring the whole building on top of us. And we know Han said that was the plan. We don't know what the plan is yet, though. And I just love the way this chapter ends.
But I do love that when Lando's thinking about all this, it's like, well, even if they don't come for me, they're going to come for Zerba, right?
Exactly, right? So maybe they don't want to save me, but surely Zerba, let's save him.
Be rescued by default, but still.
I know. Lando's stiffing, climbing out of the airspeeder, so they're there. They're about to go in, and their Falling show up too. So another added, danger. Lando, Zerba asked urgently because he up the cryodex thing, but then that would basically kill them or possibly kill them as well. Not yet, Lando said, wondering why he was even bothering. He didn't know if that was the same Falling that Dozer had tangled with at the Lulina Crown, but it almost didn't matter. He was a Falling. He was certainly Black Sun, and suddenly a quick death by detonite didn't seem all that unreasonable. But Lando was a gambler, a true gambler, never folded when he still had cards left to play. Not yet, he repeated. Han may still come through. Behind them came a sudden dull thud. Lando looked over his shoulder to see that the roll-top door had slammed shut, sealing the factory away from the rest of the universe. Han hadn't come through. He and Zerba were on their own. I mean, that really puts you in the desolate, state of mind they're in. But before the chapter's over, you get a little break. Across the field came the faint boom as the factory door closed. Now, Winter asked. Han clicked his comm link. Chewie, Kel, Dozer, now. So that's, you get the despair of poor Han and Zerba, but you also get the hope of, okay. And that tells you, turn the page so you can see what the action is. What's their plan? How are they going to do this? So it's just really great page turning, but chapter turning as well. Like, you can't get through a chapter. I mean, we're going slow at a purposeful pace, but if you have the time to read it, you're going to want to find out what's next. It's just a really great pacing. So now that I said that, we said that the festival of the honoring of moving stone, that's Earth. That's the foundation. That's when they were laying the foundations of their plan, doing the legwork, doing the reconnaissance. Festival of wind, we saw a lot of bluffing, a lot of blowing of hot air, right? A lot of winds of change. These things happening. If you watch my video on the Epic 4 when I talk about the 4 elements, when you get to an archetypal team, for example, Earth is a foundational, earthy, grounded person, but the wind is the idea person. The wind is the new ideas that come, the winds of change and such. So you've got Lando, constantly jumping to these new ideas to blow that hot air, and get out of these situations. And to the point where it winds up that he's back. He's truly backed in the corner. He can't. There's no more bluff for Lando. He needs to be rescued at this point. But good little tying it into the elements. And next up, I think, is the Festival of the Moving Water. So we'll see what that plays in, and eventually to fire and so forth. So, anything else you wanted to talk about those chapters? I know I talked for a while there, but I was trying to get through a certain amount of notes there.
I will say, I know we're doing this like 4 chapters at a time, but what a great break.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great ending for like us who are reading this a bit at a time.
Yeah.
In this book club, it's a good place to kind of end.
Mm-hmm. And as I said in my talk on the short stories the other day, when you're writing a novel, obviously chapters have to have their mini arcs, but you should write to certain points where people can step away, because you just maybe 1 or 2 people on the earth actually sit down and read a novel cover to cover these days, but that just doesn't happen. That's just not a thing anymore. So as a novel writer, you've got to be cognizant of that, and think about writing to certain good stopping points. But Matchstick says Lando's showing that skill at reading people like Han and Chewie, even in his panic. Yeah. Even in his panic. Yeah. He's trying to psychoanalyze, Han and Chewie. Exactly. Yeah. Matchstick says, any chance for you to show up for the Cowboy Bebop rewatch? I love Cowboy Bebop, Matchstick. I really do. But this weekend, probably no, I can't. I can't this weekend, Sunday. Yeah. I'm heading up to Big Al's tomorrow. Then we got the Forbidden Planet Saturday. One of these days, Matchstick, one of these days, but it's a lot of commitments going around. But I do highly recommend anybody who's free to go check out Matchstick's channel. Troy, my link man's not here. Maybe Casey Sky, if he's on computer or whatever. Let me see if I can get Matchstick's channel link in there, because Cowboy Bebop's an epic show. I do recommend anybody who can make it to show up to that, because it's great. You enjoyed it too, Al. I know when we watched it together. Exactly. So let me drop the link to Mr. Matchstick's channel there. We'll just wait until Al's done.
For the Weeble Watch, the Weeble Watch, the Weeble Watch. Watching anime.
The abbreviated version, at least. Oh man. So yeah, that's going on. And tomorrow, did Fan Man have a time or content or anything for tomorrow night?
8 o'clock, no content yet.
8 o'clock. Something's going on the
Yeah.
Fan Man's channel.
8
Show up for
o'clock
that.
Eastern, 7 Central.
Mhm.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Exactly. But good stuff there. Oh, Matchstick, you got the stream already set up. Wow. Matchstick's prepared. All right, here's the link to Matchstick's stream specifically.
Watching anime.
So there's that is to the stream specifically. Yeah, go plant your flag in the stream in the chat. And yeah, so that's going on Fan Man Friday, and then Saturday. What's happening, Al?
I don't know. I'm sure there's some nice Hallmark movies on. Oh, yeah. 10 o'clock, we'll be watching on my channel, Big Al Presents Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Tune
very
up
much.
there,
I was
one of the iconic sci-fi movies. I mean, of all time. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, period.
Yeah. Do you have is the thumbnail ready for public consumption? Or are you still tweaking it?
Meh. I like it the way it is, but I'm trying to figure out a way to add 2 more people, possibly. But I just don't know how to.
It looks good so far, though. Even if you can't add all of us, it looks good because of course you're going to have Troy, Nanette, and Al, the usual Saturday crew, but Sound Engraver and myself will be there as well.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. Got to pull out a big movie to get the whole crew together.
But yeah, I've been brushing up on The Tempest and rereading some of that.
We could just get the Fan Man. Epic.
Yeah, epic, right? But it's gonna be fun. So that's Saturday, and then of course Sunday, Mr. Matchstick's Weeb Watch, and Monday. Is anything going on Monday?
I think there's this chick that has a show.
I think Sound Engraver has her epic stream on Monday nights. And everyone needs to go check it out because I would never, ever skip mentioning that. So, yes, Monday nights. The Sound Engraver, do you have a nothing is going on Monday? Do you have a topic yet? Or I know you mentioned some ideas or whatever, but if you had anything solidified, feel free to drop that in. But yeah, and then Tuesday night, this is, I guess, where we'll stop because it's about a week. But Tuesday, we're going to watch Laura. The Tuesday Night Noir is the Otto Preminger film Laura. And that is truly one of my favorite film noirs. In the Facebook group, I put, I think Jeremy was asking me to put lists of some of my top recommended films. Well, you can go on forever, with some of these genres, but I tried to, keep it to 10. I figured I'd go genre by genre. So I did the film noir first, since that's kind of relevant. And Laura is one of the top ones. It's such a good film. And features Vincent Price in a non-horror role.
I think it'd be an interesting, like a one-off stream where we all kind of like you give everyone a topic or a film genre, and we give our top 5 or 10.
Oh yeah. Well, people are welcome to put their top films or whatever in the group as well. So definitely. Sound Engraver says Monday topic will be about artists producing art during difficult times. Theme is endurance. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, especially given what's going on today and everything. Definitely. Yeah, that's good. So that Tuesday, and there we go. Netters Network hasn't set up her content for Wednesday night yet. We're keeping it open for her. Yeah. Anything else I'm missing, Al?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Next week we'll do 4 more chapters 13 to math 16. So that'll be next week, and more to find out. So all right, I think that's it. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I guess not. So yeah. Tune in to the Facebook group tomorrow when I will I'll stream a little bit occasionally, just straight to Facebook, not on YouTube, about the road trip to Big Al's. That'll be fun. But until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.